yourself up a little bit?
Can you hand me a beer out there?
You ain't wasting no time.
No more, Coach. I can drink.
Which one?
Yeah, that you can give me the Michelob.
It don't matter?
Yep.
Good. All right, and we're back. The Check Down Podcast, HTX. Had to take a small break to get Coach Benight off. We are back in live with two legends here in the Houston area. We have Tony Patiño, BAFL President, and we have Kenneth Lathan, Texas Gridiron President. How you guys doing tonight?
Ding, 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 ding,
I know, right? Ding.
I'm doing well,
I want
man.
a good, clean match. You know?
Yeah, no joke.
I want a good, clean debate.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out. I know it may be a little drive for you, so I really appreciate you coming out. I know, Tony, you run Pearland, so it's all good.
Not that far around the corner, right?
How was y'all's weekend?
Good, man.
Good.
Can't complain.
Turn this mic on.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, out there on the side.
Where?
Should be.
Oh, right here.
Is it on?
Okay, I might have to read.
Yeah, testing. No.
Bring it closer. Yeah.
1 second.
Testing.
No.
No.
Go ahead.
Testing. Yeah, there we go.
There it is.
Now you're on.
He just wanted to
Yeah,
make a
there
late
we go.
entrance. We're good. How was y'all's weekend? We're good?
Oh yeah, no complaints.
Awesome. So, I know I only know one team. We're gonna start with Gridiron first. I only know one team in the Gridiron.
Yeah.
The Gulf Coast Bulldogs.
Yeah, the Bulldogs. We also have Galveston County Seahawks, Beaumont, the SCTX Oilers, Fresno Jets, Northwest Colts. We have the H-Town Dolphins, Southside Cowboys is in there, Houston Pride, Fifth Ward Wildcats, 713 Cardinals, A-Leaf Raiders, the 249 Steelers, Southeast Lions, the Bay Area Chargers, Greater Houston Lions, and the Mo City Buckeyes. And we just got another Raiders team, the Southeast Raiders, just joined about a month ago.
Okay.
So we got about 18 teams now.
For everyone that doesn't know, how long have you been the president for Gridiron?
Oh, for about 10 years now.
Okay.
I've been the only president we've had, so we just grew over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people never even knew about us the first 5 or 6 years until we started getting some of those name brand teams
Okay.
over the last 6 or 7 years or so. So it's kind of blew up the last few years.
And how do you like it? You think you guys are pretty solid everywhere?
Yeah, I think we are. We got a lot of good presidents that's involved now because it's been a learning experience. It's almost like having two separate leagues because the first few years of the Gridiron, we were so low key, it just ran by itself. But when you started getting those high profile teams that everybody know about, well now you have to restructure, your rules got to change. So we've gone through transformation after transformation until right now. I think we're solid. We're solid right now.
Okay. And Tony,
Before we go to Tony, we gotta ask
you got it.
We gotta ask this question. There's no disrespect in your answer.
Mm-hmm.
Honest answer. What do you think is the better league to play in? Weighted or unweighted football?
I'm going to say the unweighted, mainly because of just the transformation or the transition from Little League 12-year-olds to
Moving closer.
middle school ball. I think it's better for that. I mean, I get the concept. I don't spend too much time thinking about it like everybody else because from what I know, BAFL and all of those people have been around forever. So, the proof is in the pudding. But I do think that transition makes it a little easier for some of the kids, the bigger kids, when they go to middle school. If that's their first time seeing a kid of some size, I think it can be a shock to them. So I'll always say unweighted on that.
Now you can go to Tony.
Tony, how you doing, bud?
What's up, Rob?
So, how long you been the president for BAFL?
6 years. 6 years with BAFL. I've been on the board for over 10 years. Been with BAFL, and this is my 15th year in BAFL here, so it's been a minute.
Okay. Same question as I asked Kenneth. How do you feel about BAFL's structure, and you guys are solid across the board? Or?
I think anybody that's seen BAFL, I think you got some top-heavy teams. There's some teams that do well year over year, right? Great organizations. I think, there's some teams that are coming up, new teams, new organizations that are into BAFL new, and some teams that left BAFL coming back. So I mean, I think BAFL's been around, since '77, so they're doing something right. We're doing something right with what the league is. So I mean, I think overall, I feel the league's strong. It's growing. It's got some good stuff going on. Can we get better? Yeah, it's like any other organization. I think there's opportunity to expand itself and evolve. And I think that's kind of what this is, right? Youth football is just like it's football in general. It's evolving, and I think we've got to figure out ways to stay in front of it and get. There's a place for everything. I think there's a place for weighted and unweighted, and just like if you look at college football, there's a place for Big 12 football and SEC football, right? Mm-hmm. It's still football. At the end of the day, it's still football. Mm-hmm. So I think you got to figure out what's the right thing for the kids and for their development and what stage they're in.
So
that's a good point.
You got a new son. You have a son some kind of way.
A new son.
Right?
He's 8 years old.
Yeah.
You got a Gridiron team in Pearland. You got a BAFL team. You're not associated with either one. Mm-hmm. Where do you put your son?
Well, for me, it's different because I'm looking. There's different ways you can look. If I just want to say, hey, what's going to get him prepared for his next step in football? I think it's important in football, and I think this is where a lot of parents and just because what I've seen over the years is it's important to teach the game, right? That's at that age, especially the younger age, it's the fundamentals of the game, the passion that they learn with the game, because football is more than just the X's and O's. It's parallel with life, right? And that's what you got to. People that play football and the reason they're so passionate about it is because they use all the principles they learn in football later on in life, teamwork. And learn how to do. So for me, I think it's about how's that organization structured. What's that organization about more than anything else? Winning's fun, and winning's part of the game, and that's no one gets up to and goes through practices and stuff to lose. So, but for me, I'm gonna evaluate the coaches, and when my boys were 5 and 6, and we were looking for an organization to be a part of. We looked at everything, right? And so I found the Hurricanes, and that was it. And that was the place I wanted to be because it started at the top for me with the leadership and the coaches and everything else. And, I just got involved. So I would probably say, Roy, to answer your question straight up, it's just really who's going to provide the best environment for my kids to learn the game, And depending on where my kid is at that age, and if I know I got a kid that understands the game mentally and physically, he's there, he's probably going to go to a more competitive league. If he's just learning the game and he doesn't really understand it, I'm going to find something that fits his skill set and then move him up. So I think that's, I want to answer your question as fair as I can, but
I think that's where a lot of people get that misconception is where, what's a parent's mindset going to BAFL, going to a weighted league, and then what's a parent's mindset going to an unweighted league?
Right.
I did it last year going to an unweighted league. Mm-hmm. And it was different for the first couple of scrimmages. Mm-hmm. It was an adjustment. Kids were bigger. I wouldn't say faster, but we had a kid named Dylan Mitchell on our team. He's like the fastest kid in Texas. So that was just an adjustment, getting used to his speed. But the kids are bigger.
Right.
The linemen are bigger. There's no weight limit, of course. And my son's first handoff he got taken down pretty rough. And I was like, maybe we made a mistake,
Right.
And my wife was like trying to be steady with her camera, her phone, and I look at her and I'm just like, it's all right. He got up, and I thought he was gonna stay down. Big old kid like Roy, fell on him, and I couldn't even see him. I was like, wow. And but I think it's all about if you think your kid can handle that,
right?
Handle that. More. I mean, it's such a touchy subject saying more competition,
right?
I got asked that so many times, like, how is it going to a league with more competition? And it's like, there's competition everywhere,
right?
And this is just my opinion. There's competition everywhere, depending on how much competition. Because honestly, we ran through a lot of the teams in Taifa, and like we traveled to San Antonio and we beat up on them, and it's like 40-0. I was like, this is a waste of a trip, you know. So, but there's competition everywhere,
right?
In my opinion. I don't know. I know the Bulldogs. I know what they bring to the table on all levels. So if there's teams like that in your league, that's pretty stiff.
Yeah.
Right. And I know, granted, the whole league's not like. I know for a fact it's not like that.
Yeah. That Bulldogs team in like the Northwest Colts. I don't know if y'all have ever seen their varsity last year. all of his linemen Roy size.
Yeah.
Those are like aberrations. And a lot of people think that the league is that. Those are two just anomalies. Like, they couldn't repeat that.
Yeah.
This coming season, I don't see a team with that. And I think a lot of the weighted teams or coaches, once they see that, it's like, well, everybody's like that. Our 6U champion, the 49ers, smaller than every team in any league, weighted or unweighted.
Yeah.
Ran through everybody. Almost won nationals with that little bitty team. So I just think sometimes they get caught up in that one time
The
they've
face
seen
of
that.
each
Yes,
level, yeah.
yes, they see that side. Like, some people wouldn't even scrimmage the Colts. The what is that? Was that Fort Bend League? We did the little alliance thing. They wouldn't even play the Bulldogs, just mainly because of size. And the Bulldogs wasn't even that big.
Yeah.
I would have liked, if y'all would have seen that Colts team, y'all wouldn't have even come to the stadium. So those teams are not like that all of the time. So I just think it's a misconception with that part.
Yeah, we scrimmage. We were the Marlins last year. We scrimmaged the Greater Houston Lions. Is that what they're called?
Yes.
And they were solid. They were older than us, but they were pretty solid across the board. They had some big old kids.
Yes.
Real fast, real disciplined. So I think that, like you said, a lot of parents, a lot of coaches, they see the Bulldogs and they see the Colts and they see it was the Jaguars you're talking about?
It was the 49ers was on the 6U.
Okay.
They heard about them. Those kids are so small.
Yeah.
Like, they just play big.
And I think that as a parent and as these coaches, they get caught up into that and they're like, oh, well, see that 6U team or whatever they are, they're too fast. That's fast football over there. People can't, you know what I'm saying?
Play big is something that needs to be, like, to me, right? And I'll just give you what we've done, right? We've taken our kids every year after the season and challenged them in postseason tournaments, right? So for me, I'm not saying this is for everybody else. I feel like his nephew included, my son, and the kids on my team have outgrown BAFL.
Right.
We've done too much beyond the regular season. And I'm not saying that my team will come to Gridiron as is and smoke everybody in Gridiron. But I can guarantee you that the linemen that I play with will go to Gridiron. They won't skip a beat. They'll play same as they play in BAFL. Well, no, they'll have a challenge because in BAFL there's probably like 2 weeks to where they even have to play.
Yeah.
You know, other than that, they're just pushing people down, and it's kind of a waste of their time, a waste of their development years.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. I think you can outgrow a league. You know, I think there's outgrowing there's time for certain kids to move on, because what we see and what you see in these groups is a lot of, hey man, look at my kid, look at my kid.
Yeah.
Well, if your kid is that good, go challenge him.
Yep.
Go challenge him. You know, and people can say the same thing to me, but I'm loyal to my organization, right? I'm loyal to my. I don't want to leave. I can get what the other side of it. A lot of people are loyal to these organizations or whatever. So I think there's a middle ground. You need to play, win against the tomato can teams, and shut the hell up. Simple as like you don't need to brag about beating people that you should beat.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just my my thought process on it.
Agreed.
What would you say? Because what I hear, you know, when I first got in this, what I heard a lot was teams in the unweighted league, they can get a stud and they can play him all game, running both ways, and one kid or two kids can make the difference in the game. We technically can't do that because of play counts and stuff like that. So we can play our studs, but we have to find a way to get all the kids in the game. So in what would you say to people that'll say, first of all, they'll say is you don't have to be that good of a coach to find a kid who's bigger than everybody and faster than everybody. Second of all, they'll say you're going to play your studs the whole game and they're going to win you the game.
Yeah, now that definitely is an advantage in our league because we don't have a play count on that. Hey, you want to deal with those 20 parents of those kids that didn't play? That's on you. But even in our league, one kid is not finna beat a team except for like the 6U. If you can find you one or two fast 6U kids, you're gonna beat everybody.
Right.
You're not gonna do that on those.
Yeah, I think that's everywhere.
Yeah, on those bigger levels, you better
gotta coach.
You better do better than that.
Exactly.
I mean, I had two kids a couple years ago when I was actually coaching with the Ravens. Both of those boys was 5'9", 150, 60 pounds, super fast, thick. And we gave people the blues, but I couldn't win with just those 2 kids. I had to implement other stuff, get other kids involved. So that's just kind of hard to do. And you got some people that'll win most of their games like that, but when you start getting to the cream of the crop, no, they'll stop that one player or that 2, and then they'll wear those 1 kids out. From the Pride, Amon Simon, probably the best coach I've ever seen in my life. And I had a kid, my son, great football player, I can say that. Man, Mon figured out how to beat that 1 kid. He said, Ken, all we did was make him tired. Right. We ran left and right, and he chased everything. Third, fourth quarter, my son was done. He smoked us in the regular season and in the playoffs, about 21 points. So you can get around that if you're a smart coach with those kids. So,
yeah. I've seen a lot of football, man. A lot of youth football. I've seen a lot of teams. I've seen some organizations, and I mean, we've had a lot of ways. And I think if you can coach kids, and you know how to use your players you got. Whether you're in an unweighted league, weighted league, doesn't matter. You know how to win. You know how to get kids in the right position. You teach them the game, right? I think the coaches that know how to teach the game, that you can plug them in anywhere. They're going to be successful, man. You can they can have a blind roster and win. They'll figure out ways to win, right? Because they can flat out coach, and that's what people don't understand. Yeah, you can put 20 super talented, super athletic kids on the team. Doesn't mean you're going to win a championship. It doesn't guarantee you anything. Maybe you're going to win a lot of games, but you're going to find a coach by week 12, week 10 of that season that's figured you out, figured out your tendencies, figured out what you're not doing, and they're going to beat you. They're going to beat you with average kids because they know how to put the kids in the right spot, and they know how. I've seen kids that don't, with a lot of talent, and you look on. I mean, there's no way this team's going to lose, and they get beat by a team half their size because them kids know how to tackle, right? They had an open field tackle. They don't miss them, and the coaches you put them in the right spot to win, and they take the strengths or whatever with that 1 or 2 kid, and just like they get them tired, they figure out ways to scheme against them, and they win. So, like I said, I think that overall, from what I'm seeing in the game, where it's evolving in youth, is there's a place for both. There really is. There's a place for both. There's going to be a league that's going to figure it out that I got to get both of them in the same league, and because there is a developmental stage in football, right? There's some organizations that they even if they wanted to, they couldn't play in an unweighted league just because they don't have the base of kids to play, right? But it doesn't mean they can't play football. And I think that's the thing we got to figure out is there's a home for them and there's a home for the kids. And the Canes may be an example of that. They've just outgrown where they're at, man. They've won a lot of games. They've won a lot of championships. They put a lot of kids in college. They've done all that, right? They checked the box on all that stuff. Now it's time to kind of see what's the next evolution of that organization to go forward. So,
how do you think, Tony? How do you think having these weighted leagues has affected the cities that these teams are in? If you just break down in your head, you don't have to do it out loud. But look at the teams, look at the cities, and look at what they do in high school. Do you think that there's any correlation to what we do on a little league level to what's happening we'll just break it down, at Pearland High School? Pearland High School, one and out, they're undefeated. They lose to Dickinson. They lose to these. Now, Dickinson, they're getting kids from everywhere, so that's a little bit different. But a lot of these schools we can't go compete with.
Right.
Do you think that has anything to do with what we're doing on a youth football level?
Yes, and well, yeah. I think it's more in the middle school level than the high school level. I think there's kids that go into middle school ball that aren't prepared for middle school ball. And I'll be the first one to tell you, middle school ball isn't all that, right? It's you're gonna play 1 or 2 good games a year, and you got and I can just speak in my area. There's 3 coaches for 50, 60, 70, 100 kids out there, and there's not a lot of coaching going on other than that first team, that A-team squad is playing. So, so that's the problem is in the middle school, those kids don't get no reps, right? They're standing around watching the rest of the kids play, and then they're in for a shock when they get to 9th grade, and there's another 120 kids out there, and they got an A-team, B-team, C-team, and they're not ready, right? The cream's always going to rise to the top. If a kid, and that's the thing is if you're teaching kids how to work hard, how to have the work ethic and how to put in time, and whether they're a 120-pound kid right now, but you teach them the work ethic, they're going to be successful in high school because they're going to figure it out. Hey, I got to work harder. I got to do extra. I got to stay extra after practice. I got to get more reps in. I got to hit the weight room. I got to eat right. Whatever it is, they're going to figure it out. And that's what you're ultimately trying to do, is get them ready for life and get them on beyond that, is teaching those values. But I don't know, Roy. I think, because you look back at when Pearland had that, they went to 2 state championships in 3 years or 4 years when that run they had. And every year they was in the regional final. They couldn't get past North Shore for a while, and they finally got past North Shore and Katy. Those were a lot of, there was no unweighted leagues. Those were all BAFL. A lot of BAFL kids were in those organizations. They competed against. I remember going to the state championship in was it 13? Whenever we played against Kyler Murray and the Allen team, I'll tell you, and that Allen team was the best football team I've ever seen. Period. I mean, there was probably 22 D1 kids on that out of 22 starters. Yeah. All right, Kyler Murray was the quarterback, and he was a sophomore, and you just knew watching him it was just another level of talent that he had that nobody else on that field had. And so, I mean, I think today's game is a little bit different, but the evolution of 7-on-7, the evolution of it's a faster game than it was, even 5 years ago. So I think you got to, again, it goes back. If your kid can do it, you put them, you got to get them that exposure. You got to get them into those tournaments. You got to get them into, whether that's a state championship or a national championship, get them out there to see, hey, you may be you're the big fish in a small pond right now, but there's a whole lot more out there. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot, and you start exposing them early, then you're doing them right and getting them out there.
Ken, how do you feel the kids, in your programs do on the next level? When I say next level, I mean middle school. How do you feel they translate coming
I think that transition is real easy for a lot of those kids because of the opportunities they have. And I can give you an example. I don't know if you know this kid from last couple of years with the Northwest Colts, Caleb Bailey. Big old quarterback, tall, thick, could run, could throw it. He could do it all. If he would have been down south, Caleb never becomes what he is now. Well, probably it would be a little bit harder for him because his size, he outgrew the weight limits for all of those leagues when he was a JV 9-year-old kid. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So now, and we thought Caleb would be bigger, like at his size, thought he would keep growing. He would never be a quarterback. Well, he grew wide, 11 and 12. He started slimming up. And, man, Caleb is a legit quarterback over there. He'll probably be in that North Shore system over there. Wow. And he is going to be a monster over there. I think some of those kids in the weighted league don't get those opportunities. And I think sometimes maybe some of them will just move on from the game. Right. Where especially if you go way down south where you can't get to the south side to play in some of those weighted leagues. If you're too far down, you might transition to baseball or something else like that. So I think it affects it to a degree, especially just with the bigger kids. The skilled kids, they're fine. They don't really have problems with that. But if you had a big kid playing DN, where he might have been too big to play DN for a BAFL team or whatever, might have been too big to play, period, where he has to find something to do with his time. So you might not ever get that full potential out of him in that sport. So I just think it's weird, and that's a good question. A lady that worked for what school is that with the Challenger Stadium? Clearbrook.
It's a lot of.
We went over there to look at the venue about a year or so ago, and she, out of her own mouth, just really thought they struggle in high school playoffs now because of the Little League. Like she said that herself. Just, hey, we have got to change something from the smaller kids up because she said we're just getting drugged down here now. I don't know how many teams make it to the second, third round. It just kind of disappeared for a while. And I know it comes in cycles because you can go back and find them Lamarck teams back in the day whooping everybody.
Yeah, but it does it though? Like, because, it comes in cycles, but some of these people are good forever.
Yeah.
Right? Some of these teams are good and they're good, period.
Yeah.
No,
he's right.
It is.
Some of these
they're
teams,
good and they're good, period.
Yeah.
They're not just good this year, that year, just when, some athletes moved back in town and had their babies and let them grow up here. No, they're just good.
Yeah.
Period.
So they're going to go 3-4 rounds deep regardless.
Yeah.
But the lady said that. We just happen to be talking about Little League. And she said that out of her own mouth. She said, we have got to do something different, starting with the smaller ages, because she say it's just sad. We making the playoffs, and one round we out, maybe two, And she said, we're not just losing. North Shore and all of them coming down there just
blowing us out.
Just blowing them out. He said they're not even competitive games.
Okay,
So,
that's a good point. That brings me to my next question for all of you. Do you think that weighted leagues are ruining? That seems harsh, but you think they're ruining the area?
I'm probably the worst one about this because
I don't mean it in a bad way, Tony. I don't.
I've been in BAFL. You know, this is gonna be my 4th year in BAFL, and this is, if everything goes right, this will be the 4th Super Bowl that my team goes to. Everybody in this group is stupid. They think we go out and recruit all these people, and we like the first year we had this team, and they're like, oh, they went and got all these linemen. Nobody even knew who these kids were before the year before, and we coached them. But we pride our team on coaching first. So not on we're bigger, we're faster. We pride it on coaching first. That's the first thing we try to establish. But I feel like we are limiting.
Go ahead.
I feel like we are limiting our kids once we know that they've reached a certain level, right? There's no reason for me to take these kids to 4 straight BAFL Super Bowls when there's a gridiron out there. Mm-hmm. You got what I'm saying? Like, so what I feel like, and I think Tony knows how I feel, we got to have something in BAFL for those kids, or we're cheating those kids, in my opinion. It's fine for little Billy, who's 54 pounds and is probably going to play the tuba in 5 years, to play in BAFL his whole career. It's fine. Like, there's a place for him, right? That BAFL is the place for him. But there's kids out there who really want to play football one day, and they really want to make that a career. And I think that playing against these teams that have the coaches really don't care about playing football beyond the little league. The organization really doesn't care. They're out there for the kids to have fun, and that's cool. Yeah. But you know what? I'm just like I'm giving that kid an opportunity to have fun. I'm cheating this kid out of opportunity to live his real dream. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to add in something what Roy said because I think he hit it right on the head. I think it's the reason why some of these organizations and these clubs struggle. It's not the Jimmy and Joes, it's the X's and O's, right? It's the coaching that's struggling, right? Mm-hmm. It's the coaching, the turnover of coaches. And for a variety of reasons. I think and I've seen Roy out there. I've seen the coaches what they do. And people ask all the time, and I'll just speak on the Hurricane because that's the closest team I know about. And the reason why they've been successful it's for so many years. It isn't we're recruiting a bunch of kids. Yeah, talent's going to come and go. It's because we got coaches top to bottom in every level that are passionate about what they do, and they pour into those kids those kids are gonna absorb something, and those kids are gonna learn how to play football. And I think but if the rest of the league's not doing that at that level, that's when you see the routes. That's when you see the blowouts. And so, like, if you look at the Texas City junior game and Hurricane junior game, those were probably both games, 2 of the best played youth football games I've ever seen, and top to bottom. And those games were, those people that were there know that those games were coached well. Those kids were ready at every level, at every position, at every, it literally went down to 1 or 2 plays that could have gone either way, right?
You knew that it came down to coaching.
Right. And well, not even that. It was just, it came down to plays, right? Somebody made a play, the other one didn't. That's all it was. It wasn't that one coach got out-coached. I think they all would. I mean, those kids were ready.
Yeah.
So, but that just tells you, why isn't that happening in every organization? It's because you got coaches that leave and they would go off and they're chasing something, right? Instead of building something, they're chasing something. So when you look at some of and I've seen a lot of great BAFL teams in a lot of different organizations, the teams that win and they win consistently is because the coaches don't go anywhere. They stay with them kids when they're 5 years old all the way to their age out, and they pour into those kids, and what you see, those kids, all of them are successful at the next level, whether it's junior high, high school. What don't matter if little Johnny's 60 pounds and when he starts, it's where he finishes. They know how to play the game, and they care about the game. They come back and they're coaching later on, right? So I think it's coaching. A lot of it's coaching. Now I say that also, but we got to evolve as a league, and this is where I challenge all the league presidents in BAFL, is we have to be open to evolve. We can't be so closed-minded and saying, hey, no, that's, unweighted's bad. No, we can't, that's Big Johnny's gonna squash Little Johnny. No, it's not about that, man. Because what you're not doing is you're not preparing a kid for the next level, whether that's middle school, whether that's high school. Because guess what? In middle school, there's no weight limit. right? In high school, there's no weight limit. It's talent. But I've seen kids, small kids, outperform big kids at the next level because they understand technique. They understand how to play the game, where to put their head, where the position is. That's coaching. That middle school coaches pick up real quick who this kid was coached well. He knows what to do, right? And regardless of his size. So I'm telling you, coaching's super important at this level because that's where you're going to get kids that are passionate about the game is coming from them coaches. And then, but we've got to evolve and get places where an unweighted league or a flex weight league or whatever it may be to get this going. We can't be so close-minded that we're just stuck in, hey, it's worked for us for 40 years. Yeah, but it ain't going to work for the next 40 years if you want to be around. And that's my challenge to the presidents in our league.
One of the stupidest things that I hear in this group is, oh, my kid's going to get tackled by the big kid. All right. So I'm the big kid. I've been the big kid since the first day I was born, right?
I haven't.
I was in. I can probably count on the one hand the times I tackled a receiver.
Right.
You got what I'm saying? The times I tackled a 50-pound kid. You know why I didn't tackle him? I couldn't catch him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, that's the thing. Like, now I sacked the quarterback a bunch of times, you know, but if you're playing quarterback and you don't know how to get hit by the time you hit 10th grade, guess what?
You ain't the quarterback.
You're not the quarterback.
Exactly.
So why everybody's
team.
afraid of the big kids, and I deal with a lot of the big kids right now. 90% of the time, these kids have 2 left feet.
Yep.
They're still learning how to take that weight and move it around.
Technique.
Not a bunch. If there's not out of 100 big kids, there's probably 8 of them who just know how to use that size and know how to move around. And those kids are going to be special regardless on every level. All of this dumb stuff about, oh, man, the kid's going to crush my kid. No, he's not. He's never even going to come close to catching your kid. Yeah. Maybe one play out of the 50 in the game or 2. But everybody's using that weight as a factor to be afraid. And I don't think they're just afraid of weighted leagues. They're just afraid of bigger kids, period.
It's change, brother. That's what it's change.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to cut you off, man. I'm sorry. But I think what it is, too, is that these league or club administrators, whatever you want to call them, presidents, decision makers, they just don't like change, man. They don't and the organizations that do well and the teams that do well, it's because they're not afraid of change. They're going to push the envelope, just like you want to push the envelope and say, hey, why can't we go out and play in a national tournament out of these kids? Why can't I take this group of linemen and go show them how what there's something beyond Houston, Texas, right? And why? And when you do that, that's growing, man, and that's what life's about. You gotta push kids, because if you don't, nobody else will. Yeah. And you know, who knows? They may never get that chance again in high school or beyond. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll get involved in a program, but maybe they'll take that passion you put in them and on to the next level in high school.
And most of those big kids, like even with the Colts team, I mean, they were big, but they played, like we had 20 teams last year. They played the 18th worst team in the league last year. Nobody came out of that game hurt. None of that. Yeah. Those kids know. Like my nephew, he played for me. And Javier's last year in the league, he was 6'3", 2 something, big lineman. And if you watch them, when they see those kids really can't handle them, I've never seen them go full bore. I've seen a lot of those big kids just grab them little kids and just get out the way. They're not trying to hurt those kids on that level. But what's weird was I met with Jesse with Beast Mode about 2 years ago with a few teams right up there in Clear Lake. It was there might be 8 or 9 teams, had some reps or whatever, some coaches there. Man, it was weird to see guys that played football, coached the game, terrified of size. Mm-hmm. Like I sat in a room and listened to them say, well, man, we can't play against them guys, man. They this big. I'm like, man, them kids are not that big. Like, again,
kids up for failure.
I mean, I'm talking about, I literally sat in that room and listened to football players. Well, at least they say they played ball back in the day. And
tomato can.
Hey, man, terrified of just size. And I knew right then we wasn't going to get anybody out of that group to even want to even look at coming down here to do that. And I think a lot of that is being passed on to the parents, because you can just see it sometime that, man, those kids play against bigger kids, and let the big kid hit the kid one time. Oh, man, everybody's in an uproar. And that boy fine. Mm-hmm. He got pads on. He been practicing hitting all summer. He's fine.
If he can't take that, you guess what? There's other sports.
Yeah.
Because if I want to see, what I want to see from my son is if he takes that and then he gets back up,
Right.
then I know we can stay out here. I'm not wasting my money
But
yeah.
or my time.
And that's life, right? You get knocked down and you got to get up, right? And things don't go. That's what football teaches you, and above anything else, because the chances are there's 1,000 kids in BAFL, over 1,200 kids in BAFL, for whatever the number is. Man, there may be 3 that make it to the NFL, maybe, right? Then so there's going to be some kids that go play college ball, no doubt. But there's very few that get to the next level beyond that. But they all are going to play the game of life. And that's the thing you got to teach them as coaches, and you got to teach them how to. Hey, it's okay to get knocked down, but it's not okay to stay down. You got to get your butt up and get up for the next play, because you can't let your teammates down, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what life's about, man. And that's what we got to teach these kids. And I think sometimes parents get caught up in their own head, right? And maybe because I've seen kids come and go, and I don't have any kids in BAFL anymore. My nephew plays, but even when I think. You got parents that are really, really close to it because that's their kid. And they, oh, man, I can't put my son in that bad spot. I can't put my son in that bad spot. But the reality is, I think they got to
open up the phone line.
Oh, okay.
They got to, they're doing their kids a disservice by not letting them do that, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I'm hearing. Don't quote me on this. There's going to be a BAFL and a Gridiron after the season championship game.
No, I think nope. I had this already mapped out, and I was going to let everybody talk. I think it needs to happen before the season.
Why not?
I think it needs to happen before the season.
Well, we've always been open to anything. I think the only problem is what Roy said earlier is we're built to overwhelm y'all rules. Like we don't really have the rules to hold us back. You're finna get Big Jim and Johnny all day.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do that. Now you would have to change it for that game.
We don't want so.
Or
Coach
leave
Roy
it the
don't want
same.
to change nothing.
Yeah,
I want to. Okay, if we're not gonna let them see it the whole season, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna confine the rules to really non-football rules for the whole season. Why not allow it for one game? Like I'm saying, you go out there and it's a competition thing too, right? We take your top team and our top team, we let them play against each other, and then we take some middle of the road. You take our second team and you put it against a middle of the road team and see how we fare.
Yep.
Versus your teams, and see how some of our bottom level teams play against your bottom level teams. Because the only way these people are ever going to do is when they go out there and they say, "Oh,
it ain't that bad.
We lost 60-0 to the Hurricanes,
right?
And we lost 60-0 to the unweighted team. Yeah. We suck on both ends, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, and we're
not going to be good either way.
That Texas City freshman team that played in our alliance. They were in that game with the Mustangs to like the last 4 plays. One kid get out, they lost 6-0.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, wow.
That's a big step right there for just those weighted leagues to where, man, y'all can compete with anybody. But getting us in something like that, I can call out 17 of my teams now. They like that. It's new blood, new people to meet. And like you say, we could do it for one game and be done with it. A preseason something. So that would be easy with us.
Tell them when they show up to Pearland, they better be ready to play football.
Yeah. Oh, no, they know.
It's gonna be some teams. Like I think there's 3 or 4 teams in BAFL that if they get out of their own way, they can really do something with those kids.
Yep.
But what I would like to challenge people to do is start writing some of these names down. You write some of these names down, and I write some of these names down, and then we look at them. We see where they go.
The progression.
We see where they go, because me and you can look at kids and see that these 2 kids are probably the same, around the same size, maybe around the same talent level, right? So technically, their path, unless something just interrupts it, their path should kind of be on the same little trajectory.
Exactly.
And why does kid A end up going to Baylor and kid B ends up going to, Waxahachie State?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why you got a 6'4", 6'5" kid that's not getting any offers. Because he's soft.
Yep.
Why is he soft? Because his mama told him, his daddy told him all year that, or for 10 years of his life, that everybody's going to be the same weight as you, or everybody's going to be the same size as you. And then when he come out and see, luckily for us, our kids have seen those monsters.
Right? Yeah.
Right? They've seen them. Like, I'm not saying you got to see them all year.
Right.
Maybe that's not comfortable but you need to see him. If
Yeah,
you
at some point.
at some point you need to see, because that kid is 10 years old just like you.
Right.
And
Yeah.
when he hits middle school, nobody's holding him back.
Right.
And now you're at the damn middle school looking at a kid like,
What the hell?
Where'd he come
what the
from?
hell? What you know?
Where'd he come from?
Where's the scale?
Yeah.
Somebody get the scale out. There's something, something wrong.
Are you sure he's in seventh grade?
China.
Yeah.
These kids
And
are
we
huge.
and we hear all kind of stories on why the unweighted teams won't play. I mean, I've heard stuff as far as, well, they really don't want to open that can of worms, because if exactly what you says happens and those teams compete, now it's going to be more pressure put on
Right.
the president to change that now. Either change it or we just going to go to unweighted, because the assumption is there's a lot of big kids down south that's not playing. And G County probably eating those guys up. I mean, the Seahawks team is so big, it's ridiculous. I'm talking about from 6U all the way up. They have good size on that team, and they probably benefit from the weight limit down there, because they're probably the only team down there that's doing that. Them, and then you come further up north, the Bulldogs on that. But you hear stuff like that, like they're afraid. And I think you were saying you have some guys that just set in their ways. They just don't want to change.
Mm-hmm.
And if they open that can of worms, well, you either finna change all the way, or we just gonna, they got teams from Gridiron or whoever. They got teams down here. We can still do the same thing and be unweighted. And, it's just as simple as that. And I agree with you on another thing. I think a lot of the coaches in like HTX or whatever, they bring that heat on themselves when they get the pat in their chest and we can do. And then as soon as somebody call them out, it's like, no, my president don't want to. Well, you might want to be quiet if you know your president don't want to do this. Just be quiet.
Yeah.
Shut up and leave it alone.
Yeah,
leave
it alone.
I think you got to challenge the kids, man. Just like, it's no weight limit on life. Just like you said,
right.
there's no weight limit on life. There's no weight limit on the issues that you're going to have growing up. You cannot control your struggles. You can control your success, but you can't control what curveball gonna come in there. You can't control I'm in the middle of the highway and I get a blowout.
But
right?
I think that's a bigger picture right now going on with kids in general and parenting right now, because I think they don't prepare you got these parents that they want to shelter them kids so much and not expose them to this, because they might get this, and you can play the what if game all your life, and but what you're doing to your kid is a disservice by not exposing them to what the reality is, right? At some point, that coach or that player is going to have to learn, hey, that he's just like you. He puts his pants on one leg at a time, just like you. He's got 2 feet. He's got 2 arms. He's just like you. So either you can crawl up and not want to hit him. It's going to hurt a lot more if you don't go full speed and he's going full speed. So you better just strap it up and let's go, right? And that's football, man. And I think you got to teach them kids that, because that's life. When they get out of this, that's life. When them bills hit them or life hits them and stuff, when the moment things don't go right in their life, it's a disaster, right? Because they don't know how to get up off the ground. And I think we got to teach kids how to get up off the ground and be able to you got to put them in position to do that, man.
Ain't no 16 play light bill.
No, there isn't, right? that mortgage bill, it's coming, right?
Nah, we put that on them presidents. Y'all deal with those people. Like, you got teams with 40, 50 kids on sophomore. Hey, man, that's your problem. I'm not going to give you a limit. If you want to deal with all of that, not playing them 20 kids, that's on you.
Well, there you have it, folks. August 15th is going to – I'm just kidding.
Yeah, at Pearland Rig, we're going to do a fundraiser out of it, man.
Man, I'm telling you, you sell out, because there's some people you talking about that Pee Wee game. So me personally, my logic is 6-year-olds are 6-year-olds. There's really no big time 6-year-old that's just bigger than everybody. Unless he's the ball carrier. Doesn't really matter. Like, the best athlete on that level, or the team with the most physical and athletic teams, are gonna win those levels. I don't think you're gonna get a bunch of teams with a bunch of big linemen. You're not gonna have a big line that's just pushing people.
Nope.
You got a bunch of speed and a few big kids, and any given team, it doesn't matter what league you're in, on that level.
You break one play, and that's what it comes down to at that level, right? 6U, 7U. But as you get older, 8, 10, 11, 12, there's more scheme, there's more passing, there's more cover, there's a lot more going. The physicality of the game, and especially up front. But you said it earlier, Roy. There's no linemen chasing down these running backs. They're gonna do it one play. They ain't gonna do it the second play. You know what I mean? And that running back's gonna figure it out too. I'm Damn, that big dude gets on me
You're
again.
not even chasing them wide receivers,
Yeah.
man.
Right.
Y'all go catch him.
Yeah,
That's why those guys are in the back.
that's why you in the DB, man.
Yeah.
I'm worried about this
Chasing
line.
him.
Here.
The lineman who chases down a wide receiver is the lineman who we watch on Sunday.
Yeah,
the one. And
that's the
doesn't
Ed
matter.
Olivers of the
Ed
world.
Oliver.
Yeah, Ed Oliver.
He's gonna
Aaron
make
Donald
those
and all
plays.
them, yeah.
He's gonna make those plays regardless of what league he's in. You know, it doesn't matter. But I don't want to like just completely down talk. BAFL is great stuff that happens in BAFL, and you know what I would like to see is a certain level of like, you know, I would like to see less teams, right? You got 8, 9 teams in Pearland, right? I would like to see some of these teams say, okay, let's join together, right? Let's join together.
Put our
and
pride aside.
Put all of this aside and put these 2 teams together. And then we go and we say, okay, we got 300 kids here. This kid is a kid that we need to develop in BAFL. So we build our BAFL team, and we build, and if it's Division I, Division II, if it's BAFL and Gridiron, we build these teams, and we put the kids who need to be in BAFL, and we put the kids with the level that need to be in another league in that league, and then we go compete with those kids, those leagues, and then those kids who develop in BAFL, when they're too good for it, guess what? There's another place for you to go. But right now, there's nothing for you to do, and if you want to be loyal to an organization,
You're forcing them out.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I want to be loyal, but to what extent do I want to be loyal? To ruin my son's growth and development?
4 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and that's where I would tell you. This is where I would say to the league presidents, because I think there's some misconception that, you know, BAFL, the league president and the league board of directors makes all the rules, and we're sitting up there and we don't want to play nobody. You know, no, I'm a football man. I spent 10 years on the executive. I built the Hurricanes, helped build the Hurricanes with a lot of other people. I want that. We want that competition. We want to bring in competitive teams, and but it could be done in a league that has both, right? The NCAA has different levels, right? And there's different. Why can't we have it? We can build it. We just got to be smart about it. We got to get in a room and say, hey, why can't we put a Division I level together? Get those teams that, whether it's, you know, I don't say the Hurricanes for the sake of this conversation. The Hurricanes can go develop some kids and go play on beyond that, or if it's another team in there, that there's something more, and then you're still true to the other teams that are in there that don't want, that they know they're not ready for Division I. They can't, or that level of play, but they still have a competitive program and they're building something. Mm-hmm. Maybe down the road, because what that is going to do, the parents and the coaches are going to say, why can't we? I see them doing it. Why can't we do it? We got to pour into our coaches. Our coaches need to go to these clinics. Our coaches need to spend some time other than just showing up on August 31st or August 15th and say, I'm going to be a coach. They got to put some craft in it, man. They got to put some work in it. And that's the difference between elite level organizations that do it year after year after year, because them coaches are they're year round. They're not doing it just part time. You know, they're year, and so that's the difference. You gotta get those commitments at the top.
I agree. I agree with both of you. With all the information you guys have put out, I think that I went to the coaches clinic. I showed up late, but I tell you what, I only saw 2 teams there. No, 3. I saw Kirby. I saw the Sharks. I saw the Canes, and I saw Galveston County. That's all I saw.
Canes made it mandatory.
I know.
And, and not saying anything about y'all's teams or like that. I'm saying from this area, there's got to be more involvement as far as that goes.
Right.
There has to be, because I know everybody's not this badass coach. Because I know your records speak for itself. And you know, I think if you want to set your kids up and your team, and you want to have a great team, and you know, you want to be talked about, is that coach showed Johnny Boy how to play ball, and he showed him the basic stuff. Mm-hmm. If you want to be like that, you got to go sit down in a room and take notes.
Right.
You have to.
This year we were lenient. On it. Next year, unless Crystal fires me, if you don't come, because I know I give Crystal hell. I know she's like, damn, Roy's typing again. But next year, if we're gonna take roll at that coach's clinic.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
That's how serious I am about it, because everybody just wants to be able to come in here and draw plays up and run the defense, and they want to be the coordinator, they want to be the coach. What are you doing to show me that you want to be the coach? So if we're going to be in control of the organization, It's going to be in the bylaws that you need to go to a coaching clinic and prove to us you did it. If you don't, then you can be the water dad or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's no disrespect to anybody, and I don't care. To me, I don't care even if it's me, right? If I don't have time to grow myself and grow, the level of me coaching, then I don't have time to be a coach. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? It's one weekend out of your life that you're dedicating to the organization, and you're telling these parents, you're telling these people, I'm going to give your son some extra of my time. I'm going to be the best coach I can be. And I don't care how good of a coach you are. If you don't do it, you won't be coaching at the Hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's
I agree.
Period.
That's period, man.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, man. Because I think if you pour in those kids and you're doing it, the parents going to respect that, right? Because and that's going to keep parents. I know Roy's putting that time in outside of here. He's putting in time, and by the way, he ain't getting paid for it, right? There's this volunteer work, and sometimes parents think that you guys get paid for putting up with all this shit, right? So
The check down is going to sponsor for it.
but seriously though, I think that's what that's what it's about, man. Pouring in those kids, getting yourself exposed to stuff, because you're gonna learn things, new techniques. High school coaches do it every year. They go out to it's mandatory for them too, right? They trying to get their craft.
Hey, real quick, we're going to open up the phone lines. We're going to keep your question. If whoever calls in, I need you to ask one question. That's it. Because I know you guys have a whole bunch of questions, but I don't want to keep them here too late. So keep your questions short and sweet. And, yeah.
So what do you think the biggest thing that
Julio, I'm sorry. Julio's going to post the number again. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Robert.
No,
what do you think the biggest thing Gridiron has to offer? What do you what do you guys hang your hat on? What's the biggest thing you guys offer?
The one thing we have been trying to implement over the last couple of years is camaraderie with the teams. The more we can hang out, fellowship together, it cuts down on a lot of the drama at some of these games. Because, Roy could be a ass on the field. But if I learn him in here and know what kind of guy he is, I look at him on the sideline and go, okay, that's Coach Roy.
Yeah.
And you don't really take it the same. But if I see that the first time I meet you, well, I'm going to just assume you're that guy. So we do a lot of stuff to try to bring it. And it's still hard because everybody wants that, but then they don't show up. Like our first league meeting this Saturday. We're doing it right here at 8 Air Park. We're going to do it outside. We invited staffs, parents, come out. We're going to have a pit out there, and we're going to step to the side and do our little meeting. But we want everybody to see each other in a nice, calm environment, and you can learn about each other a little bit and start bringing some of the fun back to the game. Because right now, chasing them trophies, man, friendships are getting ruined over that.
It's them egos. And sometimes, and rightfully so, coaches got egos, man. They all got egos. They want it. But sometimes you can't put your ego in front of teaching. And because what they don't understand is that 9-year-old, 8-year-old, 7-year-old, they're watching you. They're watching you. Just like you're watching them all day long. They're watching you 24/7, and they're going to emulate your behavior. When things go wrong, you throwing clipboards, you getting all pissed off. What do you think they're going to do when things get tough for them, right?
Exact
So
same thing.
that's the thing that I think we, as the league, or not just league, but as coaches, people just got to remember that those kids, you got 30, 40 kids watching you every damn. What does he do with practice? What is he not doing? And that's how they learn the game as well, is watching you.
So, not to put either of you on the spot or anything, but so if it weren't to happen where BAFL and the Gridiron gets a certain amount of teams to play Gridiron, a certain amount of teams, what about having the champion from each level play each other? Is that a possibility after the season?
Oh, with my league, absolutely. They would.
I'm not trying to throw you on the spot. I'm not.
We would probably have to organize it ourselves. I don't think Tony can just say BAFL works a little bit different.
Yeah, I can't speak for the other presidents, but I think there's enough. We've played other leagues, and I think as long as there's a willingness to do it from the top tier teams and that are going to be in those championship games and possibly win those games, I think that they're okay with it. Parents are okay with it. It's after the season. BAFL doesn't really. They just care about what goes on in them 10, 12, 13 games during the season. After that, kind of on their own, right?
And it's the same with us. Like, I can't make them do it, but I know that's what they always talk about doing is preseason games in August, good little tune-up because everybody looking for scrimmages. Let's figure out a way to make that work with preseason games. So they're down with that all of the time, especially with the champions at the end of the year. So
see, I hate scrimmages. Like, scrimmages don't do anything for, like, the kids know it's a scrimmage.
Right.
It lets you see your kids hit other people, but it's just limited.
Yeah.
I we can scrimmage ourselves. I want to play with referees
Yeah.
out there because I need
Yeah.
to see who's holding.
Yeah.
Right, I need to see what receiver is not blocking right, so I can teach that. Because I can't watch all 11 kids and see if they're holding every time, and I'm just looking for them to do the right things.
Mm-hmm.
So in those scrimmages, you don't see a lot of that stuff, and then you get the first game and you got 5 holding penalties, or you got blocking the back penalties. But he's been doing that all summer,
Yeah.
right? But you hadn't got a chance to see it. But I think on a different plane than most people probably, and it probably gets on a lot of people's nerves, but I think all these people in the group are full of shit. They cannot say that the leagues are the same. What the consensus message has been all week is unweighted, weighted, it doesn't matter. That is complete horse shit. I don't care. It does matter. It does matter. Now, like you're saying, there's a place for both.
Right.
But it does fucking matter. I don't care
yeah.
how you slice it. It does matter, especially me being a lineman coach. I've seen my kids go, and a lot of these people just talking off of one game or one experience, and then they're just like, oh, I've seen this one experience. I took my kids out there before they had played weighted, before they played unweighted, and we played the DFW Elite Dogs in San Marcos. And some of the kids that people don't know right now that are playing football were up there crying like babies because those kids were bigger than them, and they were afraid of that. Let me get those same 5 kids right now, and I can go to any arena in Texas with them. Those same 5 11-year-olds. I don't give a shit if they line y'all up over there. They're not gonna care. They're gonna look at me and they're gonna be like, they're big, but we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because they've gone through those experiences.
Right.
These same kids that they're talking about, oh, we competed. Let's go 2 more years, right? Let's go 2 more years. When that same little team is bigger now, when you take that team over there, if they haven't seen that, they're not going to react the same.
Yeah.
And you said something right there. So I think what do high school coaches want more than anything else? They want kids that can compete.
Yep.
Above all, whether you're playing football year round, you're playing base, they want you to be doing some kind of thing where you're competing and you know how to compete. And I think, to your point, Roy, I think it's more, it means more on the linemen. The skill kids are the skill kids. They're going to be good no matter what league they're in, weighted, unweighted, because they either bigger, faster, they're just going to run past you or run over you. But the linemen don't get the work. And I will be the first one to tell you, in a weighted league, they're at a huge disadvantage because they don't see kids. There's very few teams and I'll just use the Hurricanes team that you've been coaching for. There's very few teams that had, other than Texas City, that had them man for man lined up with them, and they had some kids the same size and same skill set up front that could go with them, right? I mean, everybody else, they were just crushing folks left and right. There wasn't no work for them. They were just kids who were just squashing underneath them. So I 100% agree with you there.
Yeah. Yeah, we would overwhelm them with just that. Like I say, a lot of those teams would lose just walking onto the field, like just
scared,
seeing it.
yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
Mentally.
and some of them big kids are not aggressive kids.
Nah.
They
Yeah.
just big.
Yeah.
But they pretty much won that battle when they go out there. And what was weird was even on Hilton's team, Hilton had a nose guard sometime that was smaller than a wide receiver.
quick.
That little kid was a dog. That little kid hit anything in front of him. He made life hard on the Colts at times because of his quickness. He knew not to just hit that guy straight ahead. He shoot that
the
gap
gap.
as fast as he could. Man, sometimes he got through. Now, when he didn't, well, he was just in a big pile. Really couldn't move nowhere, and they really couldn't hurt him. And most of the time, they just held him up or just kind of pushed him to the side, and he just chased the play. So, but a lot of those teams would lose just when they walk onto the field and that kind of stuff. And I'm like you, Roy. I think that's a big advantage. And if anybody's saying it's not, I don't know what kind of football you play.
I think too though. Receivers should be able to play anywhere. If I'm a receiver, as long as I know how to run routes, catch the ball, I should be able to play in any league. Now, when we start moving inside the box, running backs. If I'm used to taking hits from a certain size kid, because not only are the linemen smaller, the linebackers are smaller, right? So now when the linemen get bigger, guess what? The linebackers get bigger because some of the kids we got playing linemen in the interior would probably be defensive ends, and those defensive ends would probably be linebackers.
Right.
So now when I'm coming that hole, I get hit by a kid who's 130
Right.
versus a kid who's 90.
Right.
Now I get to see the difference. Is he going to carry that ball 20 times when those hits are 130? Can I get him to run me and get me 4 yards, or is he going to try to get to the edge every time?
That's a great point.
You got what I'm saying? Like there's a difference. And then when we send those kids to middle school and high school, that's why they run to the edge. They're trying to get to the edge every time, because now guess what they see in there? They see people that they have never seen before.
They see
You know
that
what I'm
size.
saying? And that is intimidating to those kids.
Yep.
That kid he's not going to stick his nose in there and go get 4 yards. That's the difference between when we go to the showcase and when I see those Dallas kids. That damn Dallas kid, he going to run into the 2 gap.
Yep.
And he going to run through whatever in the 2 gap. You know what I'm saying? Our kids are going, 2 gap? Nope, we're going 8 gap because I don't want to see what's in that 2 gap. You know, and those little things that people don't understand, or they probably understand, but they just don't care because they love to see that kid. Because in BAFL, that same kid can go to the 2 gap
And
bounce it, juke 2
Still
kids,
get away.
and then up the sideline he goes. He's a hero. But that is a terrible football play.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think I see it from all angles. There's kids on my team that were last year that I love to death, but I wouldn't dare bring them to a gridiron game and tell them, hey, you got to play. You got to just, because they're not ready for that yet. They're not ready. So we have to figure out what to do with that kid and how to develop them. But I feel like we all got to do that. You know what I'm saying? Each organization's got to figure out how we're going to make this better, because we can't just make the league geared around.
Well, I think the question is, how do you fix it, right? How do you so the question is, how do you keep these kids loyal to the because they're loyal to the organization. They it's like family, when you and I'll be the first one to tell you, the Hurricanes like family to me, man. I've been they don't want to leave the Hurricanes, but they also want to be able to get to that next level with their kids. So don't force them out. That's where I'm telling you, we got to figure out as the league's got to figure out a way to have both of them in there, have a way to get, hey, and to be honest with the Hurricanes don't need to play a team that's not at their level, right?
Yeah.
That's not healthy for the team that's coming up, and it's not healthy for the Hurricane. We gotta have a spot for both of them. And I'm saying the Hurricanes just because that's the team I'm with. It could be Texas City, it could be a bunch of other teams that are in there. So
there's a bunch of teams.
Yeah, and the preseason thing works better than the Super Bowl winners, because 9 times out of 10 you can get a Super Bowl winning team to go play anybody. For the most part, they're pretty confident in what they're doing, but you got to get the rest of the league to, like Roy was saying, I know what teams, if Roy tell me, hey Ken, this team here is kind of middle of the road, don't sick your Super Bowl champ on them. Get them something more comparable to them and get more comfortable with that. And then the presidents can transition, which makes his job a lot easier, because I'm sure you take all of the heat from what's not happening.
Right.
And I don't know nothing about it, but those preseason games, and it doesn't have to be whole organizations sometimes, because you don't really have that much time and field to do that, but you can find some teams that kind of at the bottom. Well, I got a few teams that's developing. Let's get them to play. Some middle of the road team. We get your team to play a team that's going to look them eye to eye and make good
More
football out of
established.
that. Yeah, and I think that transition brings everybody, you know what, man, we lost 6-0, and I'm not going to even say lose. Man, some of those teams are going to win. Now, the conception that the gridiron teams will just go run through, that's not true. Everybody thinks that sometimes.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. We're going to lose some games in there, because at some point, football is football,
Right.
and that team from the gridiron won't have that size to do that. The Colts team last year probably beat everybody over there in BAFL just on sheer size and talent. But, again, those teams aren't built like that every year. So you'll find we might win 3 out of 5, or we can – 2 out of 5, y'all win, and now you got presidents going, all right,
But we can
look at
compete.
some change.
And
But you can compete.
right, and that's the end of the day. That's what you want. You want to be able to compete. You don't want to.
Yeah. And until they see it, it's
Yeah.
going to always stay like
That's
this.
right.
Every
That's
year
right.
you're going to have this same talk every year.
These idiot coaches, though, they're not going to worry about it can be 50 games and we win 3. They're not going to talk about the other 47. The BAFL coach is going to be like, yeah, you see, we went and beat the such and such, and this team beat the such and such. We're not talking about the other 47 games that we got our ass kicked.
Yeah, so the preseason thing to me is better, and you have the time in the beginning of the season, because again, people are transitioning from the scrimmages to, I need to see referees. You don't have to do 10-minute quarters. Let's cut it down so the games ain't as long, but we want to see referees, schemes, and all of that kind of stuff, and you coach your team. And again, we can make that a tradition every year. We're going to do this. and the teams will buy into it, and that'll help with whatever transition you guys are trying to make, because it's the presidents that run that.
Right.
People tell me all of the time, Ken, why don't you make? I can't make 20 guys do nothing. I mean, at some point, I need at least 16 of them to be my support. The other 4 will follow in. But if I got 20 saying no, I'm going to tell you no. I can't force feed them.
And that's the same thing. So I'm with you 100%.
I get that. So all of y'all people have been running y'all mouth all week, and y'all ain't calling. Y'all don't got nothing to say now, huh? Y'all don't got nothing to say. Y'all don't want to be on the main stage. Y'all just want to type. Oh, y'all can. Y'all
Twitter
can only
fingers.
type. Yeah. Y'all can only do that T9 because they fixed the word spelling for you can't speak. That's why y'all can't coach.
T9.
That's why y'all can't coach now. That's a big thing. That's a big thing. Is a lot of these dudes, man, and you can't be afraid to lose.
Yeah.
Right. When I talk about going to the national stage, the first thing I think about is we're gonna get our ass kicked probably the first go round.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the regular person to me. The Roy in me says people can't fuck with us.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel,
I think every coach has got to have that mentality.
Gotta have
though,
that.
right?
you can't if you're scared to do it, you can't have that mentality. Like if you're afraid to do anything, that mentality is not in you.
You'll never win in anything you do because you never want to take the chance, right?
Yeah,
you never
I'm
want to.
scared.
But you okay sitting on the sidelines talking shit to everybody about what you can and can't do, but you don't ever want to take the next shit, right?
There's a whole bunch of that.
Yeah.
There's sideline.
Everybody got an opinion until you put them in. I got a coaching app for you. Get out here and let's go.
Yeah. Put the number again.
I never understood that. Everybody complains. I heard it in the state championship game when we played you guys, there, Coach.
Say it again.
In San Marcos when we played. Dude, we look like shit. And I hear every single person on our side talking shit. Like parents. And I'm just like, look, there's a reason you guys aren't out here. So quit trying to call plays from the stands. Stop doing it.
That's funny.
Come on, Corey and Tristan. We're gonna take those 2 calls and we're gonna call it a night. Ken, what's the biggest challenge and opportunity you see with some of these teams going single age?
Yeah, that seems to be kind of a thing right now. I mean, me personally, I don't really get it. I think the great thing about doing 6, 8, 10, and 12 or whatever odd number is, especially starting from like 6 and 7U. But if I'm playing single age, 9 times out of 10, you normally bring back your same team. You're going to see that exact same team going up, and a lot of people be like, you know what? That's a waste of time. Leave that alone. With the double age thing is everybody goes through that transition where you flip down to the younger, which means now we might have the little bit of the advantage on that. So I think that's the advantage. I don't really understand the you wanting to go to that. I think that's a lot. I don't know if it's sustainable to have all of those levels. You're looking at 20, 25 kids a level. I mean, it's hard to do that with just 4 teams to me.
That's a lot.
But I know they're all doing it for the national thing, which is cool. That's their thing. I've kind of never even really thought about it on that. But I wish all of them good luck. We lost 3 really good teams because of that. The world famous Jaguars just decided to go, and they have won at least 1 or 2 Super Bowls in our league since he's been here, like 5 years. We lost the 6U champions with the 49ers. They're gone. The Pack don't even exist anymore. They dissolved. So, I don't really get it, but hey, that's them.
Hey, Corey, the number is 713-703-5783. 713-703-5783.
Hey, Roy, don't act like you don't see that
I
comment.
don't see that coming.
Don't act like you don't see it.
Talking
Greg,
about Big Greg.
Greg, he saw that. He saw that.
So I've been saying, that Lamarck is Tech City ISD. and Greg ain't been able to say nothing to me until now.
Oh, yeah.
Now Lamar goes and loses, and now that's Texas City.
Hey, man, that was ugly, man. That was ugly. Oof.
And I can't say nothing back, man. I cannot say nothing back. Tristan, you gonna call or what, man?
Yeah, Tristan got something to say.
He said he had something to say. But yeah, man, it's a good discussion. I definitely think if we can make anything happen, we need to make it happen.
Oh yeah, that's
we
easy.
Need to make it happen.
We can get together, find a date, sit down and talk. And like I said, it's just going to be real easy with my league because those guys, we've talked about that every year. I've been trying to get leagues to do interleague games forever. Hey, let's get the rules to where we can kind of be close. They don't have to be the same, but I can play 1 or 2 games a season and match up the right team. You don't want to send your best team against my worst team, and just have some good football in there. But you really can't get people to bite on it.
You build that relationship, you never know what you might build.
But I think that's where it starts. In events like this, and getting together, kind of just we all want the same thing. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing. But let's get it done.
Who we got? We got
Hey,
a
the
call.
check down. Corey. How you doing, Corey?
All right, how's it going, man?
Hey, good, man. What you got?
Roy, let's talk about this weighted versus unweighted. Okay, me and you, we both played together with Tri-City Panthers.
Yep.
We played in Tiffy, we played in BAFL.
All right.
Our coaches had us ready every week to play whoever we faced, right?
Yep.
So it's all about coaching. Now you can't be scared to get your behind whooped. You know what I'm saying? You just got to learn, and you take that and grow with it. But me, as long as I've been coaching, I've always tried to have my kids ready for whatever the circumstances or whatever it may be. That's all I was calling in to say about that weighted versus unweighted. That stuff is really overrated, man.
Can I respond?
When you get to the next level, you're gonna see kids bigger than you, kids faster than you.
Can I respond to you, Corey, about us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Our living standards were way different than these kids now. we play football for a totally different reason, right?
Exactly. But that's where the coaching come in at, because I can tell you, and I don't mean this by no harm to anybody, but I know my son. Okay, we played in GCPFL a couple of years ago.
What position he played, Corey?
He played running back.
Okay. Keep going.
He can tote the ball up the middle. He can tote the ball outside. It didn't matter. He was prepared though.
I get you. So we're not saying this is 100%. You know, even Michael Jordan didn't shoot 100%. There's kids out there that gonna break this myth every time. But
right,
I
you gotta
guarantee
instill that dog in them, man. You got to.
10 kids that played that's the same age as your son, that went through the same experiences, 6 of them not gonna turn out like your son. You got me?
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that.
6 of them right now is trying on band hats. You know, three of them is gonna probably be on varsity, and the other one he probably gonna be on JV till he's a senior. You got me? Like it's levels to it, man. Like
tomato cans.
Yeah, so we can't, and we played up too, Corey. We didn't play our age level.
Yeah, we didn't play our age group.
Yeah, we played up. So we technically took a challenge. We didn't play unweighted, but we played against kids that were older than us. So that's a whole different ball game, right? We played, I don't think I played like 3 senior years because we was always playing up.
Because we was always playing up, yeah.
Yeah, so that we got to make sure because Corey, when you think about this group, bro, it's idiots listening. So they gonna hang on every word you say. So when you say, "Oh, it don't matter," the idiots jump out. Oh yeah, see, look.
Well, that's why I'm saying in coaching, you gotta coach. You gotta coach. Right. You gotta prepare a kid for life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing that, you failing them, and that's just how I see it. You failing them.
For sure. Well, we appreciate you calling. Somebody else called. Who was that? Whoever that called was called back. We're gonna hear.
Appreciate it, Corey.
Appreciate it.
All
Corey.
right, man. Y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too.
Hey, me and Corey Williams. Shout out to Corey Williams, man. We won all kind of Super Bowls when we was
Man, y'all
kids.
cheated, man.
Won all kind of Super, and we played up.
Is he big like you? Is he tall?
No, he's shorter than me.
He's taller than me.
Corey was one of them kids that was too big to be playing running back, but they let him play running back anyway.
Oh hell yeah!
That's what Corey was.
That's why he's talking that shit right now.
Corey's supposed to be a lineman. He got to be play quarterback and running back. You're like, how the hell,
That's
Corey?
Original H-back right there.
There you go. Oh, that's good stuff. Hey man, so what do you do to get one of these permanently?
You can have that one, man. That's my gift to you, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. The check down. Who's this? Tristan.
That should be Tristan.
Nope. Yeah. Tristan.
Uh-oh.
Tristan. You there?
Hello?
There he
Yes,
is.
sir.
There he is.
What's up, my man?
Hey, what's going on, Short Rob? You all right?
You got a new name for you.
Hey, I just want to reiterate what the man said. He said these boys not coaching, and ultimately that's hurting the league to where these presidents can't make a safe decision.
That's right.
Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
Yeah. No, 100%, Tristan. I think there's some guys out there, and for whatever reason they're not coaching because they're leaving. They're turning over, right? They're leaving to another league. They're chasing rings, or they're chasing this, or they're chasing their own personal stuff versus building something. And I think that's part of the downfall with some leagues. But I mean, I think we got it starts there. It starts with coaching. I think you got to get some guys that are committed to it. Because it don't matter if you're weighted, unweighted. If you ain't coaching them, it's going to show somewhere. It's going to show down the road. You may win some games. You got a bunch of unweighted kids that are talented, but you get down to the championship rounds, you ain't going to win because there's going to be some coaching going on out there.
You're absolutely right. So I want to ask both of y'all that. What's up, Ken? You
What's
gonna
up?
give me that $20 you owe me? Hey, but look, on a serious note, if these leagues took championships away, do you think we'll have the same participation from coaches? And this coming from a guy that started when it was lame to coach.
No
you think we'll
trophies.
still have that many guys coaching and we say we play 10 games and it's over? Who's still coaching?
I really think you'll get rid of a lot of the knuckleheads. I think you got some guys that just coach to coach. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to win. At some point, win something. But I think you'll get rid of a lot of the people that are doing it for the wrong reason. Because I see it every year. I mean, they're chasing that ring. And I can get them rings and trophies. I mean, they $10, $10, $15, $20. I can call my guy right now, the trophy. I can call my trophy guy. They're easy to find.
I'm telling
Custom
you,
made. I can put your
I'll get
name on
I'll
it.
get them a gold whistle.
People,
I'll take one of those.
Whistle.
people are willing to take 18th place trophies, man.
The
They
Gaylord
want it.
Falker Award.
Like
Hey.
I saw people posting they driving their car with a 13th place ring on.
Magical Johnson Award.
Magical Johnson.
Oh,
They don't care,
Oh,
man. They don't care. They will take anything you give them. So maybe you do that. Just take the registration fee and give the kid, everybody get a ring and say champion on it.
Hey.
Or make sure they get a game where they can play and win, even if it's like a flag game. And
Now, it's a lot of those guys, though, Tristan, because, again, the Gridiron, man, we was low-key. My trophy used to be a little bit bigger than this. Just nice trophy with the football on it. Man, I had people ready to leave the league and not come. Hey, man, the first thing they asked, the questions used to be, Ken, tell me about your league. Now it's,
Do they get rings?
Y'all got rings?
Yeah.
And we just did rings the first time this year, and I hated it. I hated it because
Yeah, I seen the sour look on your face.
yeah, I hate it every time, and the cost was ridiculous, and it's not for those kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Those kids
Yeah.
could care less because, man, before all of these people came to the Gridiron, do you know we never gave away trophies? Nobody knows that about the Gridiron. We used to do exactly what Tristan say, except we gave away one trophy by that big.
To the team.
The pride, all of those people were part of the league. Those people never complained. We gave away one trophy here. No individual stuff for the kids, none of that. Man, we had a great time. Now you start getting those teams in, and now we did medals a couple of years ago. Real nice medals. Man, they chewed me out on social media about medals. I mean, I'm talking about tore me a new one.
Yeah, we give away plaques and they get all.
Oh my God, man! And if I didn't upgrade to what we did this last season, if y'all could see it, man, I'm talking about we spent thousands of dollars. And
Yeah,
and
you remember you tried to give me one of them leftover championship rings and pissed me off.
oh man, I mean, but people—that's the first question out of teams' mouth now. Is, hey, y'all do rings? How big are the trophies? They don't care what we do. They just wanted to know that.
Yeah.
That and the money is always the two things that I deal with Little League. I mean, you got cats out here talking about I made $45,000 off of Little League last year. I wish.
Yeah.
I mean, literally said that. Like, they say that convincingly. Like, my bank account had $45,000, $30,000 from Little League, and my league fees are $400.
Right. Do the math.
I'm no magician.
Tristan, it's clear to say he got that $20, man.
Yeah. I got 45,000. I give you that 20 with a tip.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Well,
now,
all right. Hey man, I appreciate y'all did a good job today, man. And somebody gonna bring some ignorance out of Tony. Man, you spoke some real life stuff out here, man. So we're gonna do some process elimination here in a little bit. Y'all know I'm gonna say something, but
I appreciate
man,
it,
y'all
bro.
did a good job, man.
Tony,
Good show, y'all.
Crystal had a question, and we'll end it on that.
Okay.
If you scroll back up, because we.
What do you think the biggest opportunity going into the 2020 season? Is that it? Yeah. Rule changes. What do I see as the biggest opportunity? Number one opportunity is to get something set up with BAFL for a Division I, Division II, and then the second part of that question to add on is to downsize some of the outdated rules. I think again, BAFL's been around for 40 plus years, and so that's good and bad. The bad part is there's a lot of rules that were written in 1986 that the game, that's back when shoulder pads were as wide as this table and people were wearing little cutoff jerseys, right? So the game has changed, and sometimes those rules haven't changed with it. And I think we got to get to it's 2020, and we got to evolve the game. And I think we got to have people that aren't scared to push the limits. And I think that's going to take change. And sometimes people by nature are scared to get out of their comfort zone. That's human nature. Nobody's going to jump to the edge and say, yeah, I'm going to jump. But even though they know that jumping, I'm going to do something right, I'm going to do something magical and crazy, or I'm going to fail. And they're scared of failure. People, that's just human nature. So that's our biggest opportunity. Number one is we got to get a D1, D2 set up. Number two is we got to get rid of some of these outdated rules. That's bigger than.
That's a good plan of action.
Ken, anything Gridiron gonna change up for this season?
we're just looking at maybe kind of tweaking a few of the rules. We're actually looking at, or at least I am. I'm going to bring it to the table Saturday with some of the XFL rules we've seen with the extra point and stuff.
Yep.
And I kind of like that. Yeah. And I've made a few calls to some
the
coaches.
kickoff.
Yeah, the kickoff.
Yeah.
Now, it really wouldn't work for 8U and 10U, but we have to do something to curb the onside kick, though, because we got teams winning 45-0 still onside kicking, and that's demoralizing to some of those teams. So we're looking at to add a few rules and change a few things with the league with that. So I'm excited. And I think it's wide open in our league this year. This will be the first year I think I can go in and I really can't pick a winner, an outright winner on 6, 8, 10, or 12. In most leagues you kind of know going in, they gonna be hard
they got
to
something
beat.
over there.
Yeah, now I think some people got some action. I think old Galveston County got some action.
Old Greg Randall's got
old
a few
Greg
tricks
never
up
got
his
some
sleeve.
action.
Man, got
Yeah.
some smoke.
Well,
Man, we appreciate y'all coming out, Rob.
oh man, I'm good. There's a lot of good stuff tonight. I think people thought there was gonna be a boxing match in there.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
Wrong
man.
misinterpretation.
They was in the backyard before we turned on the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Y'all
Hey,
missed it. They
I was
got it
getting
out.
phone calls, man. Get on him. I was like, I don't even know him.
No, man,
It was good.
I appreciate you guys having us. I think it's good, man. It's good. You guys got a hell of a show going on. I'll tell you that. It's good for the youth football, not just in Little League, but high school. You guys are talking some real stuff here, and to get those coaches out here and share some knowledge with everybody that's on this is cool stuff, man. I hope to see you guys continue to do this and get more, and we'll get you out there in the Hurricanes practice.
Appreciate it for sure.
And I'm going to follow up on what we were talking about with the little jamboree thing. I'm going to get Coach number, and we're going to have a little round table real soon.
Yeah.
And we can start working on that early. That'll
Yeah.
be really great for the area and all of that kind of stuff. And so
For Houston, really.
yes, exactly. So we'll definitely get started
Another
on
thing.
that.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
No,
man.
you got it, Chief. Go ahead.
I was going to just add, and I think that's part of the because I see it all the time. There is a clear separation right now between the Dallas and I'll be the first. I'm a Houston dude, man, so I can't stand nothing Dallas. So when I see Dallas Little League teams kind of having an edge on a Houston, and I was like, hell no, Houston's got way more talent than Dallas does. It's a bigger city. It's got this and that. And I know I'm gonna catch some grief from the Dallas folks, but there's no reason we can't get. It's egos. We got to put egos aside, and we got to say, hey man, Ken runs a great league. BAFL got some great things going on. Let's get together. Let's get some people on the table, and let's make some things happen that are going to be beneficial for the leagues and the kids. And at the end of the day, if we're in it for the right reason, then we're going to do the right thing for the kids. And I think that's the question to ask. How many of these coaches that are coaching don't have any kids in the program? And that'll separate the boys and the men and the boys.
Yep.
Those are the guys that are doing it for the right reasons. The guys that are just out there because they want to hold up a trophy on their mantle in their
I
house or
want to wear it
whatever.
around and
Exactly.
around HEB and Walmart. I won this Super Bowl.
Hey man, they wear that stuff around like jewelry.
I know.
Like you see it on their hands. Like,
the hell?
dude, why you got the gridiron ring on
Oh, man.
at the high school championship game?
Hey man, them coaches be blowing me up. Where's my ring, man? Where's my ring?
Wow.
Yeah, so but it's all
Crazy,
good.
man.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming on. One thing I wanted to mention to you, if you know any high school coaches out in that area in North Houston, let them know about us, and
Okay.
that way we can try to get them on and get some insight of what's going on in the northern part of Houston.
Will do.
Cool. You got anything else?
Nothing else, man. 7-on-7 coming up.
7-on-7.
We didn't talk about nothing, man. Combine just went away, but we'll have to talk about that next week.
Oh man.
Next
Y'all
week.
stay
Wide
tuned.
You know
open.
what? We can talk about it with PJ Locke. PJ
Yeah.
Locke's
PJ Locke.
calling in, former Texas Longhorn, current Denver Bronco. So he'll be calling in next week.
Chase Young,
There
number
you
one
go.
pick.
There you go.
Number one pick.
You
I
think?
don't know. Yeah,
I
probably.
think so. I really do.
Hold
I
on.
think Chase Young gonna go number one.
To the
That's
Bengals?
just- yeah.
Oh, the Bengals.
If the
taking
Bengals-
a quarterback. They taking a quarterback.
They ain't got no damn line. They're gonna kill that.
They're
dude.
gonna kill that guy,
They
man.
still taking a quarterback.
But there's so many free
It's
agent
a safe
quarterbacks.
pick.
There's so many free agent quarterbacks in this year. You can get you a free agent. Get you a playmaker now.
Because if you
Joe
don't
Burrow
take
ain't
the
gonna do
quarterback,
nothing.
you get buried. You know, he turned out to be good, you get buried.
Shit, he gonna be another Andy Dalton. Play with the Bengals. That's graveyard. That's graveyard for any quarterback.
The Bengals have been terrible since I was born.
They terrible because they're terrible up top. They got terrible leadership.
Dude, Marvin Lewis was there for like 20,000 years having losing seasons. I'm like,
Like me.
gotta get that guy out of there.
Well, he's the only one that could put up with that owner.
True.
Hey, Marvin Lewis was a great Bengals coach. That's like the best it gets in Cincinnati, dude.
Yeah.
8-8.
Yeah,
They gonna
shit.
throw a party.
Did a statue for him.
I remember these people saying the Cowboys should get Marvin Lewis. I'm like,
Hell,
shut up
man,
quickly.
seriously,
Shut up now.
seriously.
We just left with one mediocre coach, follow with another.
Nah, y'all don't need that.
We're going to the Super Bowl this year. Anyways, Julio, you got anything?
Good joke.
We're good. Appreciate it. Like I said, appreciate you guys coming on.
Cool.
You guys are more than welcome to come back when you got the time. Maybe closer to the start of the season, we'll get you guys back on, see where we stand as the leagues. This guy with the music, man. Thank you guys for tuning into the Checkdown Podcast. Be sure to follow us on our Instagram, YouTube channel, Facebook, at the Checkdown Podcast HTX. This guy's confusing me right now. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Be sure to share everything that we put out. We appreciate your support.
Oh, look at that. DJ Roy. Man.
Hey, I promise, I thought he was playing the music.